Have you ever smelled something horrible? Have you ever walked into a room that smelled terrible and all you wanted was a breath of fresh air? Maybe it was a locker room that just after a big game, or maybe you were walking in the woods and maybe you smelled something that had died out there. Well, when I was younger, we used to play sports in the street, and we would play baseball many times. And many times the ball would roll into what we call manholes. And manholes was the sewer drainage system on each street, where when it rained, the water would drain into this sewer system. Well, many times the ball would roll into the system as well, the sewer as well. And we would be so frustrated because somebody's got to climb down into the stinky sewer to get the ball. Well, sometimes that was me, and I would climb down in there and I would try to hold my breath for as long as I could because it smelled horrible. I would get the ball and I would come back out and I would take a breath of fresh air. Well, King Hezekiah was a breath of fresh air. Not only to the people, but I believe he was a breath of fresh air to God. Because for many, many years, the kings of Israel had been horrible. They'd been evil. And King Hezekiah, at the age of 25, he inherits the kingdom and he changes everything for the good.
About these kings from David's line. He highlights the kings that were obedient to God, and he adds new stories about how their obedience led to success and God's blessing. Tells the story of the lone southern kingdom. And here we meet some very heroic kings, like Hezekiah, who trusts God when the armies of Assyria come knocking on Jerusalem's door.
In 2 Chronicles chapter 29, we find King Hezekiah doing many, many great reforms in the nation of Israel. You see, he tore down all of the idols. He tore down all of the places where they would worship those idols. He threw them away and threw them out, and he restored the priesthood. He restored the way that they would worship God, the way God wanted to be worshiped. Hezekiah did all of these things. He even fixed the temple. And then one of his greatest feats is he had everyone come to Jerusalem to celebrate the Passover with the whole nation. All of the tribes were invited, and many people came. The Bible says that this was the first time that this had happened in generations. King Hezekiah was a breath of fresh air. And you know what? You can be a breath of fresh air too. You know, if somebody's acting kind of funky, somebody is not doing what they're supposed to, you can help them do what's right, y'all. You can help them fix their problems, fix their issues. You can help them by being a good friend. When things are going wrong, you can be the one who's positive and speak to their needs or speak to their issues. Be an encourager. You might be like Hezekiah and change the whole picture of your church or your school or maybe even your house. So I encourage you today to be like King Hezekiah. Be a breath of fresh air. When you come into the room, people's faces should light up. People should begin to smile. You should make the atmosphere that much better because you are a breath of fresh air.